We're back again.
Yay!
It's been like a month.
And we're hungover. I am.
Well, I think we're all hungover.
Yeah.
We did a little work bowling party last night. So
one thing I worked on was a buzz. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So
I'm still drunk.
That was pretty fun.
It was fun.
It's always fun, like hanging out. Like I don't go out that much. You go out a lot because you're always like working or doing comedy or like kind of doing your thing. Charlie, I don't know how often you go out. Do you go out quite often?
Nah,
Charlie's
I don't do much.
Out in the streets all the time.
I'm glad the bowling was fun for you, though. I ripped my trousers, my cock was out, and I kept hitting zeros all night because I can't bowl.
Yeah.
Really embarrassing.
It's funny because it's like I feel like every other like white dude there was just inherently good, but they're all Americans, and it really showed your British side, which is like you have no idea how the sport
we played
works.
bowls on a nice
balls.
lawn.
Hilarious.
We're all white.
What is it? What's the game where you isn't it cricket or bocce or
Which
something?
one?
Bocce ball?
What is
No.
it? But yeah.
Did you say bowling?
Yeah.
No, you're talking about the one where you roll the ball and then you got to hit a little white ball?
Yeah.
That's bowls. But you got to be over 80 to play that.
What's the one of the fucking like? It's like a weird. It looks like a mallet and
cricket?
Cricket.
Croquet. That's the one.
Croquet. I used to play croquet when I was a kid. I think that was like an 80s thing.
That's only because our grandparents had that shit and it was around, and then you just played it, and it wasn't like
That's just fun though.
it was fun, but I just don't think I ever played it right.
I think I'd rather play that than fucking what is it, like the cornhole? Like that's like a fucking thing. Like
Cornhole
that's-
is so good.
I like cornhole.
Cricket's fun because you could make the course different every time. You just put
It's like a weird mini golf with a mallet for some reason.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I didn't think people actually played that. I just thought that was something in like 1800 movies. From England. I've never actually, I don't even know. I've
First
seen
date
a
and they're kind
croquet
of flirting
thing.
and shit. Like, ooh,
Take them to croquet on a first date.
it's like weird because isn't there like several balls and you can kind of like bounce them into one another? Like,
Yeah,
fucking
you
pool?
can like knock them against like knock the other one out, get yours closer and all that stuff.
Maybe that can be one of our first sponsors.
Well, I'm telling you this much. I realize this now.
We're sponsored by a croquet company.
I want to get sponsored by like Brunswick or any like pool tables or like billiard, like basically anything that's like a bar sport. I want to be sponsored by.
That's a great idea. We should talk about
You guys want to be
darts one day.
sponsored by my company, AdventureDumb? AdventureDumb.com. You just go to buy a t-shirt.
Nah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Everyone's like, nobody wants that
Mark,
shit.
cut that part out.
Speaking of t-shirts, if you guys want to buy this, it's Christopher Hitchens. I have these for sale for a low price of $12.95. I think they are at AdventureDumb.com. So go check those out. There's all sorts of things. Also have miniature dachshunds.
You did so random. You do.
You have shirts
You
that
have
like
dog shirts,
the shirts
dogs
you
and
sell are
shit.
the shirts that like they wear in Pulp Fiction when their clothes get all covered in blood. It's like Quentin Tarantino gives
I
them
do
a-
have,
yeah.
and this podcast I have. I just made this because I made the new logo. I don't know if you could see there. I took the Conquistador thing off myself and changed a couple things, but you can buy the t-shirts. I have beer glasses too for us. I'm going to buy those so we can have those when we're drinking.
You're going to sponsor us with those, right?
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
beer to sponsor us. We can put in there. And then I think a sweatshirt or something, like t-shirts and sweatshirts.
Put a
But
little tiny Charlie right here.
Nah, you're good.
yeah, I could draw on
We
it.
could brew our own beer and then start selling that.
We could.
What do you reckon it would be?
Terrible.
Yeah.
We could just buy beer and then tell people we brewed it and just do that.
It's just Bud
Throw a
Light.
label on-
My brother had
I don't
friends
do
in
that
college
somewhere.
that did that, and that was
My cousin
very
has a brewery.
time consuming.
Shout
Yeah,
out
his
to
cousin
Jason
had-
Rastovich.
actually, that's a good
Yeah.
idea, Jason. If you're
Steel
listening,
Tank Brewing.
yeah, sponsor us. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool little.
He makes really like good beers, but they're really like full bodied and shit. And that's like I can only have a couple of those. Like you were drinking IPAs all night last night. I can't hang like that, dude. I had a couple sporadically. Then I like did like instead of drinking a glass of water, I would drink like a light beer. I was like IPA, Miller Lite. Ugh, still no hydration.
That's what I started doing at the end because I had like 4 of those IPAs, those Lagunitas ones.
Yeah.
And those were like 6 point something alcohol. So I was like, okay, I'm like pretty good. That's probably when my bowling score went down pretty drastically. And then I was like, oh, I need to drink something lighter. So I was just drinking Corona. And then I don't know how many of those I had, but yeah, I hadn't eaten since 11 o'clock earlier that day. And that was at 8 o'clock is when it started. And we didn't stop drinking until 11 o'clock because we went to another bar after that. And then I was like, I need to go home. Like, I just need to go home. Like, I ran into some other coworkers. I'm like, just drive me to Ralph's. Just drop me off at Ralph's. Ralph's is a grocery store
That's the
out
move.
here.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, grab some like, old sushi that they had and like fucking a bag of chips and like had
you get really dicey when you get drunk. Buying like supermarket sushi is like that's a risky move.
I mean,
that's
I'm up a notch. I used to do 7-Eleven sushi.
Also
that
true.
used to be when I moved out here. I was like, oh my god, Tony, they have sushi at the
but you were
7-Eleven.
younger, man.
Like,
Your body can handle that shit at that age. I don't think either of us, because Eric and I are also like record eating, steak eaters and shit. So we have our names on the plaque at Magic Castle. You worked there.
That's right. I remember. Yeah,
I
know.
Man, just get your contact. Get a picture of that plaque, because I would like to see us on like I think we're 11 and 12 on the fucking plaque, but.
Ooh, we could do that. So you could tell that little story, and then that's a good segue into the other.
Oh, okay, right.
So hey, look at this.
Years ago,
yes,
my brother-in-law Mike is the drummer of the band Disturbed. Shout out to Mike if you're listening. Also part owner of the brewery, Jason. Everything's tying together, right? Look at that.
Sponsorships coming.
His label had like the whole band was going out to dinner at the Magic Castle and shit, but like one of the band members couldn't come, so. Him and his wife had seats. So obviously me and Eric, my hetero life partner, go and sit at this table and shit. And then the fucking server comes over. He's like, yeah, we have 8, 16, 24, 56 ounce steaks. And then we're like, 56. I'm like, Mike, your label's paying for this, right? And Eric and I are like, he's like, yeah. So we're like, fuck it, let's do it. And everyone loves a good, food challenge and shit. So they bring these fucking steaks out, dude. And I got mine like cooked like medium or medium rare. It was just way too rare for that much meat.
Yeah.
And when he put it down,
just
on the fucking table, it kind of jiggled like a Jello mold, just like this. I was like, "Oh boy!" And we start just fucking, and they also served it with like a giant, like family style, like side of mashed potatoes,
and it was like a shrimp cocktail and like a side salad. And then before we went there, we didn't know we were going to this, so we were like on a Subway kick. Like we literally ate Subway like 3 times a day. That was like we just went there. We just ate Subway all the time. So we had just downed. Foot-long subs.
We were also hungover.
We're like, hey, you guys want to go to
that
this?
shit called the juice too. So we're hungover. We fucking eat some Subway. Then we go to this fucking restaurant, get this fucking giant steak. The guy that our server's like, yeah, I've been working here for 2 years. Like, I've never sold one of those steaks. Like, we're sell 2 right now, buddy. And then like, they kept periodically checking us, and the maitre d' had to come over and sign off on it and shit. But when I'm hungover, dude, I'm like ravenous. I can't stop eating and shit. So.
Wait, sign a waiver?
Basically, they just like say you ate the whole steak, and then you get your name on the plaque and shit.
Okay. Yeah.
But I was still, after I finished the steak, I just kept eating mashed potatoes, even though it wasn't part of the deal. I was just like, couldn't feel this fuck. I was hungry, man. And then we went out to Bordner's out in Hollywood. And surprisingly enough, we couldn't get drunk. I couldn't tie a buzz on to save my life. I just kept like drinking, and I had this giant sponge of meat in my stomach.
Sweating. Just sweating and just like.
I don't think I ate the rest of that weekend, though. That was it.
Is the plaque hanging up in the place?
Well, that was where I was going to ask you.
I don't know. I didn't see it. I think they just suckered you in there.
No, it was on the stairs.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think after I had heard someone else that had gone there and there that worked there, and they said they had since taken that challenge away or that option because it's like nobody ever did it.
Died.
Like
I just like the idea of all these legends lined up on that wall. You've got like famous actors, the superstar magicians, musicians. They're all on there, and then there's just you.
It wasn't that many people.
Amateur
it was like we were like 11 and 12 or something. Yeah. It was like that's how not nobody did it.
Since
like,
that castle became magic.
Like anybody want to get sick while you're watching magic? Like like that's probably not.
Constipated for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a interesting evening. But then to tie back into the music thing. So I don't know how many years later this was, probably like 8 years or some shit. But to kind of bring this all full circle too, I'll do a little backstory. So Tony and I went to this place out here. It's called Cinespace. And we went to go see like someone perform there, and it was we got invited through a girl that he worked with that actually she's the chef for Dan Bilzerian now. And so she's super cool. She used to work at Tender Greens.
Shout out to Daisy.
Yeah, Daisy. She's fucking awesome. And she used to work at Tender Greens, which is like for people that aren't familiar with it, it's like a kind of cafeteria style, but it's like gourmet kind of like home cooked meal, like chicken, steak, sandwiches, like homemade cookies, and like really, really good stuff. And she was like the head chef there. So we'd get done with work, and all of our work buddies would go over there, and she'd be like, all right, what do you guys want? Just fucking bring out like plates of food for like free, or like, wouldn't charge us anything really. And we just get stuff there. And so one of the days after work, she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see this girl. Like, I can't believe she's playing." And we're like, "Okay." And she's like, "You guys got to go. It's Lady Gaga." And we're like, "Who?"
Never heard of such a person.
Yeah, we're like, this. They're just a name sounds fucking stupid. So we're like, I don't want to go to this. And then she's like, "Oh, you got to go." And we're like, "All right, whatever." You know, a bunch of her girlfriends were gonna go, so we like kind of tagged along, and we go into this place, and it's a small venue. It's only like maybe like 100 people max, 150 people maybe. It's not a really big venue.
Yeah,
and
it's like upstairs at the Roxy on the Roxy. It's like small like that, intimate.
It's a really intimate spot. And so we go there, and we're just like sitting around, whatever. And all of a sudden, Lady Gaga gets carried out by like 6 guys dressed in like some really high fashion thing. And like,
this is before she's even famous. So she's doing that before
way
she
before.
even,
way before. And
it was her first show.
Yeah, it was like I don't know.
Early on. This is again probably like 15 years
Hence, there
ago.
wasn't it like it was only like it was a small venue, right? And so like she gets carried out with like all these guys, and they have like, I don't know, like little sparklers and shit. It was like over the top, and she's wearing like this latex thing and like dancing, and like we're like, this is not. We're coming from like going to like, you know, Disturbed concerts or like heavy metal stuff. I was in a heavy metal band at the time, so like this is the opposite of the shit we're into, and we're like, this is fucking bullshit. Like we're both like, this is never gonna fucking go anywhere.
This lady's a little full of herself.
Like fucking, this is horseshit.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah,
she
like my poker. We're like, this is fucking horrible. Like who would listen to this bullshit? And then like it was like maybe fast forward a few months, start hearing that shit on the radio, and I'm like, this is that fucking chick that we heard. And then you see billboards, and it just kept snowballing bigger and bigger. Like, well, I guess we were wrong on that. Like, I guess everybody fucking loves this shit.
Sure.
Yeah. So so we ended up going to that, and then where was I fucking going to try to tie this back into? So okay, so then that's the Lady Gaga, our first experience with that, and then many years later, Tony.
I auditioned to be a trophy presenter for the Grammys. I'm too tall.
Wait, how does that? What do you mean?
I don't know. I was going to look nice in a fucking suit and then hand the trophy off and shit.
Tony's always getting himself into some dumb shit. Like, where I'm like, what the fuck? How do you get in on like what? Like when we first moved out here, he got us booked at a book signing for some like horror author.
It was like a cult.
We wore like
movie.
Jason masks and just stood next to the guy signing
like
books,
living statues of like,
and just stood there like this. I'm like, what the fuck are we like? We were in Wisconsin, like living
normal lives. Just get a serving job.
We booked it. Well, again, it was before that because we were still working in an office. We went from construction to this office job to start doing these random fucking side jobs,
just
like
super random. I'm like, we're like trying not to laugh because we had to be like quiet and shit, and we're like fucking trying to make each other laugh while we're standing there. And
so you couldn't work as a trophy handoff person because you were too tall.
Too tall.
Were you just showing up?
I think I would have been like my shoulder in the frame, and then just a trophy and shit. So like, and then I think they ended up going with like some. I don't know who they went for the trophy percent, but all I know is they like me, and they're like, well, we have something else you can do. You can be a backup dancer for the Lady Gaga Metallica performance. And I was like, okay, because I can't dance. I got kicked out of a musical.
Don't rush over that. Don't just go over that part of the story.
Oh no!
Wait, how did they just offered you as a backup dancer?
Yeah. So like, I don't know how it happened, but it's like, we like you for like, what we want to have you part of our Grammy programming and shit. So somehow I go to this like, the rehearsal, which is fucking cool because on that Grammys it was like Gary Clark Jr. I think Adele performed. There's a lot of like really cool performances and shit. I think Logic was on the bill too. It was like a lot of people, and then this Lady Gaga and Metallica thing, right? And Metallica's they're okay for me, right? I always thought they're little bitches after that whole Napster thing where I was like, just seeing a grown man cry about stuff, and it's like, dude, chill the fuck out. You got plenty of money, you're doing just fine. Like, that's Army, you stealing from us and shit. So during the rehearsal,
I fucking love Metallica, by the way. We were just talking about the Black
Album. We were literally on the car raving about Metallica the whole way.
It's like, where I was like last time we were at the bowling alley, they played. I don't know if you were there or not yet.
Yeah, it was.
They played Sabbath True, and it's like it's just like dun,
I know. I like that album.
It's just so like, however, it's like the Devil soundtrack.
Again,
so
because
good.
Eric, when you work with Metallica like I did, right?
That's that backup dancer.
Yeah. And we're there for rehearsal and shit. And during the rehearsal, the click track wasn't lining up with like the sound guy and shit. And like Lars was like, hey man, fucking he's like snaps. And
he's like the bitch of the group though.
Exactly. But that's the thing. So now so the rehearsal was kind of a little awkward, right? Now it's show day. And there's this other kid, this young like 19-year-old kid that's like in the little sea of like background dancers and shit. And I'm doing my only move I have, like, yeah, just like stupid shit. This kid's going all over the place, jumping crazy, and fucking like unplugs James Hetfield's microphone and shit. Mm-hmm. So he has to kind of lean in, you know, and like start singing with Lady Gaga and shit. I'm unaware of this because like it's a sea of people. It's all celebrities, and the last thing I want to do is be on stage under spotlights dancing, and I can't fucking dance. And I think Robin was working that. That's how I ended up getting in this whole fucking gig. But like the people from the booth were like, yeah, you need to get some dancing, you know, fucking classes and shit. And yep. Yeah. After the curtains close, James Hetfield just tosses his guitar at his tech, like almost fucking hits me in the face. He's fucking pissed, just like all mad. It goes down as one of the worst performances on the Grammys.
It's very famous performance.
Famously terrible. You can Google, I'm in all the pictures in a blue and black checkered fucking
like,
flannel.
Did you think it was you?
I don't know. I was in that vicinity, and I'm sure I probably got like.
Did he ever like look at? Did he give you like a stare? Like he's like, hey, where's my mic? Hey, where's my microphone?
Yeah. No, but it was like again one of those things because like the second that goes out, everyone's like texting me, like, dude, are you on the Grammys right now? Yeah, Forrest Gump my way into that fucking scenario.
You are the Forrest Gump.
I do just kind of happen to walk myself into that kind of shit. Like I don't know how it always happens. So last week. We have a writer's strike going on right now. And one of my buddies is like, you want to come support? I'm like, why not? I have the day off.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me that you went to that.
Do this little, you know, march of, you know, supporting my writer friends and shit. Somehow I happen up on the news because I like walk into frame and shit. So like, really? One friend sends enough. Yeah. So there's like a fucking like video. My dumbass just walking through like another moment of pop culture and shit. Just
I like riding.
Yeah.
I like to ride.
And that's all I have to say about that. Yeah.
And you, sir, what are your thoughts on the strike? You're like,
I like riding. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.